In this segment, we're going to explore how to read building plans. For me, this is at the top of the list of MeyerFire University courses that I wish I could have taken a couple decades ago. It seems that a lot of people in the trades learned how to read building plans from their supervisor, who in turn learned it from their supervisor, and so on and so on. While this training concept isn't rare, we at MeyerFire University think that we can all collectively do a lot better at preparing people to be as successful as they can be. So if you're ready, let's get rolling. In our last segment, we discussed how to conduct a site visit. Much of that segment was from the perspective of surveying an occupied and operational facility, which someone working in a fire protection design discipline may not have much opportunity to do. This segment covers a topic that's applicable to all of us. Whether you're working in fire systems design or loss control or a supervisory role, we should all have a basic understanding of how to read building plans. In my current role, I serve as the technical director for a fire protection company and supervise the design department. I review their system plans and put my fancy stamp on it, and away it goes. My expectation is that my designers have the ability to navigate and read a set of plans. Additionally, my expectation is that the salesperson who bid the job was able to navigate and read the set of plans they used to form their quote. This is really important because if my design staff is unable to navigate a set of building plans and glean information pertinent to their job, I may be reviewing automatic sprinkler plans where the branch lines are running in a direction with nothing to hang from or areas of the building that are inadequately protected. If our sales personnel aren't able to read building plans, they may not know that the project will need a dry system or protection in combustible concealed spaces. These sort of mistakes can have severe financial consequences. As we look at a set of building plans, the first several pages contain a lot of really good, though often fairly general information. First, the building plans will often have a project scope section that lays out, in very general terms, what is being built. Something to the effect of, "Hey everybody, we're going to build a restaurant here. It's going to be 5,000 square feet and have a kitchen and bathrooms and tables and be awesome." Just something telling the viewer of the building plans what the project entails. There will generally be a project directory, which amounts to a sort of who's who related to the project. This usually lists the owner, the tenant if different from the owner, the architect, the structural engineer, the MEP engineer, and the authority having jurisdiction. In my state of Texas, we usually don't list the entity responsible for fire protection design on this sheet, but every state is different. The reason we don't list this in Texas is because fire protection system design requires a very specific license through the state fire marshal's office, and our design work is a deferred submittal after the building plans have been completed and submitted. After the project directory, there will be a block of general notes. The general notes are just that. Notes that are specific to the project and more or less outlining the purpose of the project for the general contractor. A symbols legend is often in this area as well. It's important to note that there may be additional symbols legends throughout the plan set that are specific to the scope that particular page or set of pages is trying to convey. For instance, the electrical plans will often have its own symbols legend for different fixtures and such specific to that trade. It's also common to find a list of abbreviations used in the plan set. However, just like with symbols, there may be other abbreviations legends elsewhere in the document specific to the trade that particular sheet applies to. Another important information block in or around the first couple pages of a plan set outlines the codes that apply to the project. For instance, we know that most of our sprinkler system designs are governed by NFPA 13, but it's important to know which revision cycle of 13 governs our project. In my case, for example, over the last year, we've submitted automatic sprinkler plans to 15 to 20 AHJs. In those, the governing revision cycle for those projects have been as old as 2013 NFPA 13, all the way through 2025 NFPA 13. My designers need to know which edition of 13 they're working under, and this is where they should be able to find it. Finally, the drawing index. This serves as a sort of table of contents. If you're looking for the roof framing plan to know which way your branch line should run, a quick look at the drawing index can help you find that fast. As you look at the drawing index, you see dozens of different drawings and detail sheets listed in the plan set. All of them contain information very pertinent to the project as a whole. However, not all of these are necessarily relevant to your job in designing the fire protection system. One of the most important drawings to reference is the Reflective Ceiling Plan, or RCP. The RCP provides a bird's eye plan view look at the project, much like the floor plan, but provides some details not included on the floor plan drawing. Think of looking down on the building with the roof removed and the floor being a giant mirror. The mirror is reflecting the ceiling details, so you see things like acoustical ceiling tile, HVAC registers, lighting, etc. Additionally, this is where you'll find ceiling heights, which are needed to know the heights pendant sprinklers need to be placed at. This is pretty important information because it helps you avoid placing sprinklers in those lights or HVAC registers. We actually require the RCP as a CAD file for the design and then use that as our submittal file. The floor plan drawing gives the general layout of the building as a whole and labels the rooms with their intended use. This is also a really important document because it helps you understand the occupancy hazard classification. If we're designing sprinkler protection for a restaurant, we'll be dealing with multiple occupancy hazard classes. For example, the kitchen and service areas are ordinary hazard group 1, while the customer areas are light hazard. This is important to note because if we're using standard coverage sprinklers, our coverage requirements are different. If we design the whole building using the maximum light hazard coverage of 225 square feet for standard coverage sprinklers, our service areas will be inadequately covered. Conversely, if we design the entire building using the maximum ordinary hazard group 1 sprinkler coverage of 130 square feet for standard coverage sprinklers, we'll have a lot more sprinklers than needed and the job won't be as profitable. So understanding which areas require more or less sprinkler coverage is very important. Sectional or elevation drawings are used to understand the height of the roof deck. If we're designing protection for a retail shell building using upright sprinklers, we know that the deflectors of our upright sprinklers need to be within 12 inches of the roof deck. This drawing helps us understand the height of the roof deck and then place the elevation of our sprinklers accordingly. In my practice, we also require this drawing to be provided to us as a CAD file so that we can provide a sectional view of our system within the building as required by NFPA 13. The utility drawing is often not included in the set of building plans, but will often be found in the set of civil drawings with the site plan. This is a critical drawing for us to reference because NFPA 13 requires our hydraulic calculations to go from the most hydraulically remote sprinkler back to the point at which the water supply characteristics are known, which is most often the test hydrant from the flow test used as the basis of our design. We have to account for all the pipe between those 2 points, and we can't do that unless we know how the water gets from the test hydrant to our system. Isometric drawings may or may not be in the set of building plans. An isometric drawing shows the building or a building system in an oblique angle in 3D. In our fire protection drawings, there is no requirement in NFPA 13 to show an isometric view of our system or systems, but I find it helpful to include this in our field plans for the installers on more challenging or technical systems like those protecting high-piled storage. You'll find pockets of notes symbols throughout the building plans. Notes typically refer to direct text, whereas keyed notes usually involve symbols that are clarified by a legend on the same page. An example of this would be a typical sprinkler legend on the automatic sprinkler plans. Whatever your role, the overall goal in being able to effectively read building plans is to more thoroughly understand your scope. Will there be a covered patio for which you need to provide a dry system or an antifreeze loop? Check the building plans. Do you have combustible concealed spaces you need to protect? Check the building plans. Understanding all of this before you start design work helps avoid costly delays later in the project. In this segment, we explored how to read building plans. We discussed the title block pages and the information therein pertinent to your design work. We talked about the different drawing types and what information there we need to understand for the design process. Finally, we talked about the importance of keyed notes and text notes as well as the big picture overall. I'm Jesse Cecil. This is MeyerFire University.
This has been a preview of MeyerFire University. Join the next generation of fire protection experts at www.meyerfireuniversity.com.